Hello fellow YouTubers. Any of you out there artists like to draw, like to paint, like to do anything that you just love to make art? I don't care what it is. But what if you, like myself, don't have a lot of money? You make stuff on your own. Well, one of my favorite new art mediums that I've been really getting into is watercolor painting. And I think it's probably my favorite because I just love the effect of watercolor painting that it gives, and the way the water kind of flows and makes the colors flow together. So it's really cool. But as you probably know, watercolor paper is actually really expensive because it's really thick and it has a lot of texture to it. So because it's really thick, it's supposed to be able to hold all the water without buckling too much. What's a guy to do? Sometimes when I'm just kind of out and about, just on a walk or whatever, I like to sit down and take little sketches of things around me, just as kind of a journal. But watercolor notebooks are also expensive, um, so I started to make things of my own. This is my portable watercolor painting kit. So let's start with my journal first. So this is my sketchbook, and I made the whole thing entirely by hand. So the covers are just the backing of your any old drawing pad that you can just find at an art store. And I think I got that off of a construction paper super pack, so it had 80 pieces of paper, and so I just used the backing off of that, and it's pretty sturdy, so it works quite well. And the inside, I just used drawing paper, which you can also find at your local art store, and I cut that up and I made a bunch of signatures, which I ended up not sewing together because I don't have any sewing thread. I just stapled each of the signatures in the middle by hand. And then those were all the last page of each signature and the first page of the next signature were actually glued together. So that this is actually two pieces of paper right here. So they were stapled. I don't know if you can see that, but that actually held together. And then just the first page is held and glued in, and same with this page. So this is glued on here as well. So I just started using this, and this is one of the first drawings that I did. So I just drew that on with a pencil. I was sitting outside in the grass, and I just decided to sketch that building at my school. And I just started using it, and it's really cool because it's about 3.5 by 5.5 inches, so it actually can fit right in the pocket. Not completely, but at least width-wise, it fits right in the pocket, so it's really awesome. But here's what I'm excited about. This did take me a long time to make, just because there was a lot of tape and whatnot, and I know it's really handmade and really kind of lame, but you know what, it works. I carried around. Kudos for me. But here's what I'm excited about. On the outside, your typical Altoids box. On the inside, an entire watercolor painting kit. Now you think, well, where's all the paints and stuff? Well, let me show you what's in here. Well, first, if we look up here, I have 2 mini brushes. So these are just tiny. You don't really need big ones because if you're just working with a travel journal, you don't need big brushes anyways. So I have a round one, and then I have what's called a filbert brush. So it's flat, but it's got the pointed tip at the end. And then I have just a regular old pencil, and then I got a black colored pencil in case I don't want to do any ink, because I don't have any miniature pens. So so that's one thing. And then all this is being held in by a kneaded eraser. A kneaded eraser is a type of eraser that doesn't leave any fringe or any markings or any shavings off when you erase something, and you can almost form it around like Play-Doh or Play-Doh or whatever you want to call it. So it's kind of like a putty in a way, but it does erase really well, and you can shape it into whatever form you want. So if you need to get those really small little places in the drawing, then you can. So I'm going to take these out real quick, and the eraser does a great job of holding all these things in place, so there's not a lot of movement around on the inside. And then this is actually my mixing palette right here. And this was one of the hardest parts to figure out, because I had to figure out what kind of surface I could use that would kind of hold the water on top of it and not necessarily get soaked into the paper. So I figured out that any typical credit card or gift card or anything has a type of surface where the water would just sit on top of it and it doesn't necessarily soak into the material. But I also found out that anytime you buy a product from Apple, such as an iPod or an iPhone or whatever, usually they give you those stickers. And the stickers come on this pad, this paper, where there's a shiny side and then a non-shiny side. The shiny side has the exact same, pretty much the same type of texture and feel as your gift card. So what I did was that when I bought an ID holder that I could use for school, that was kind of my inspiration, but the whole thing wasn't white. I needed a completely white surface so that was when I was mixing paints, I could see exactly what colors I was making. So I just cut out a piece of that sticker paper and glued that on top of this actually the card that's right here, and that's also using sticky adhesive on the inside of this. So that just goes on right there. And now here's the part that I was also excited for was what's a way to fit in all my paints, but also any other additional supplies that I needed. Well, this was just obviously just a little tiny towel that I cut from a standard dish towel, and also on the inside is a sponge. But then here are the paints as that just fell out. This is also a piece of that sticker paper that I just used as kind of a covering for my paints, so that just in case those might still be wet, that none of the other materials kind of run off and the paint doesn't get mixed in with all these other materials. So we're just going to take that out real quick. And if you want to, you could use that as an additional paint pan. I haven't yet, but that's good for a mixing palette. But here's all my paints. There's 12 colors. And that was honestly the hardest part, was figuring out what I could use to hold all of my paints in there. Because I wanted to get as many paints as possible, but minimize the size of the pans. And I know there's not too much paint in there, but then again, we're just using something pretty small, so it's not a big deal. So what I did was I just decided to use pill pans, where I just took the pills and I just placed them into a different container so I could still have them, because you don't want to waste pills because you might need them someday. But I just took those out and I was attempting to take off the foiling and all that stuff, but it was getting kind of bothersome at a couple of points, so I just decided I didn't really care. So yeah, I got black and white, and then some brown, and then a couple of reds, a couple of greens, blues, and a couple of yellows. So I got all my colors that I need just out of one set that I got a while ago. So yeah, that works if you are a traveling artist and you like to paint all the time wherever you go. This is great to take with you. Best part about it is that this fits in your pocket. I mean, really the only thing I had to spend money on was just buying this. And Altoids, I still have the Altoids that the case came in, but they're just in a separate bag, so I still have them. But this is the best thing, so that this just fits right in the pocket. So it's really awesome. So if you're looking to make a travel paint kit, whether it be watercolor or acrylic or whatever, just whatever works for you, then go ahead and use this, and this really helps. So thank you, and I will see you guys again soon.